Hi, this is Julie Campbell, a garden girl for 2 peas in a bucket. I'm excited to bring you a brand new card making video series called Trendy Trios. This is a free monthly class that highlights some of the hottest trends in the paper crafting industry. Each month I'll be featuring one of these trends and showing you 3 different ways to incorporate them into your projects. So whether you're a card maker, a traditional scrapbooker, or somewhere in between, I hope you'll join me on the first of each month to learn more about trends. This month we're going to be talking about instant photo frames. Polaroids have been around since the early 60s, but they've made a surge recently in paper crafting. You don't have to look far to find this trendy icon popping up in patterned paper, in stamps, in die cuts, and embellishments. These are the 3 projects that I'm going to be demonstrating today. For this first card, I'm going to show you how using photo frames can make a great focal point on your card. This card started out with inspiration from this new Mama Elephant stamp set. I love this photo frame on this stamp set because it's a little more narrow than a traditional Polaroid frame. It's more the size of an Instax frame, and it works really well for card fronts. I want to make sure that the sides of the frame stay straight, so I'm going to go ahead and place the image stamp side down onto my tabletop and just pick it up with my acrylic block. It seems to work a lot better than if I try to place it onto the block myself. So I'm just using some black ink and I'm going to stamp this photo frame image onto some red cardstock. I love this VersaFine black ink pad because it seems to always give me a very nice crisp image. So now that that's stamped, I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm wanting to frame one of the images from this 12 by 12 piece of paper from Crate Paper. This is from Crate's Little Boy Blue collection, and this piece of paper has several items that are very specific to baby, but a lot of the patterns in this collection can be used for any project. And I love that these are sized perfectly to fit inside of my small photo frame image. So as you can see, I've just stamped right on top of the image that I'm wanting to use, and then I'm trimming out the inside area of where a photo would generally be in a photo frame. So now I can go ahead and trim out the original photo frame that I stamped earlier. And the image that I cut out from the pattern paper fits perfectly inside of that frame. I used my silhouette to cut a scalloped rectangle, and this is from October Afternoon's Midway collection. So I'm just going to adhere the little photo frame to the center of the scalloped rectangle. As you can see, it's starting to create a nice focal point already. I'm choosing a sentiment from Studio Calico and Hero Arts. This little banner says "Welcome Baby" and is just the right size to fit at the bottom of the Instagram photo frame. I always try to stamp onto a soft surface such as a mouse pad, or this is a piercing mat that I've had for a long time. As you can see, it's had a lot of use. But it does help the image to stamp more perfectly, and I never have to worry about only half of the image imprinting because my tabletop is uneven. So now that my image is stamped, I'm just going to go ahead and trim around the edges, leaving just a little bit of a white border. I'm adding a small strip of green pattern paper from the Little Boy Blue 6x6 pad by Crate Paper. Since it's the same collection that we used earlier, everything coordinates really nicely, and it just brings out the green that's in our focal point. I'm adhering everything onto a piece of white cardstock and just layering everything, figuring out where I want things to go. So I just need to adhere the sentiment, and then that will finish up the first part of this card. I thought it would be fun to do something a little non-traditional, so I didn't create a card with a fold. Instead, I'm going to place the card inside one of these stitched pockets from Studio Calico. It just adds a lot of color, and it's more unique than the traditional card. So now I'm just wrapping a little bit of solid green twine around the front of this stitched pocket, and it's just once again bringing out the green that was on the inside of this card with the duck and then the little pattern paper. It just brings everything together. So I'm just going to tie that in place and then trim the ends. And I didn't show it on this video because after finishing the card, I looked at it and I thought it needed a little something more. So you'll see in the next clip that I've added a decorative fabric brad to the center of this green bow that I created. So this completes the first of our 3 cards that we'll be making today. This card featured Polaroid stamps and creating a focal point with a Polaroid frame. And for the next card, we'll be creating a project using some of the pre-die cut Polaroid frames that are available on the market. So this is a pack of pre-die cut frames from Studio Calico. It's from one of their holiday collections. And as you can see, the majority of the images are holiday, but there are several that could be used for any time of the year. But the one that we're going to be using today is just this simple frame with a star in the corner. Pebbles makes these journaling card booklets that are just full of different pattern paper and then of course journaling cards, different sentiments and sayings. And I really liked the school lined paper that was on this journaling card because I wanted to make a card for my son's teacher. So I'm just placing my frame onto the pattern paper to kind of eyeball where I'd like to go ahead and trim that paper out. I think it's good to remember that you don't have to always place these frames in the direction that they are originally intended. Feel free to turn the frame to its side and use it in a unique way. Now that the journaling card is trimmed, I'm just adhering the frame directly on top of it. I love using photo frames to really highlight a sentiment. So I'm pulling out a sentiment set from Studio Calico and Hero Arts, and it's called Back to School. It's got some really great images and sentiments for school-related projects. So I'm just testing and making sure that this sentiment will fit in that area, which is one of the really great things about clear stamps. And it appears to fit perfectly, so I'm going to go ahead and ink and then stamp that directly in the center of this photo frame. Now I'm selecting a couple different pieces of pattern paper. One is from the Soho Garden 6x6 pad. It's this nice dark wood grain. And the other paper is from Lawn Fawn's Dewey Decimal collection. I wanted to keep this more of a masculine feel so that it could be given to a male teacher. And I'm just going around the corners right now. This is an old ticket punch that I've had in my stash for a long time. And just giving the corners just a little bit of a decorative edge. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere those 2 pieces of paper together. This is a piece of washi tape that has some really fun math symbols on it. I thought it really brought out the teal that was in the pattern paper. So now I just have some basic twine, and it's just a natural color that I'm going to wrap around the card to give it a little bit of texture and visual interest. And to keep this in the more masculine feel, I'm not going to tie it into a bow. I'm just going to tie a knot and then trim the ends. These are miniature paper clips by Tim Holtz, and they come in 3 different types of metallic finishes. I really like these because they're nice and tiny. You can put them just about anywhere when you need just a little hint of added embellishment. So I'm just going to add that to the top of this photo frame. Now it's time to adhere everything together. I'm using a teal card base to bring out the teal once again that's in the front of the card. And then I'm using some foam adhesive to make the photo frame really pop off the front of the card. To give this card even a more masculine feel, I'm going to use a little bit of sandpaper and just go along the edges, and that brings out the white core that's in the pattern paper. Kind of gives it a nice distressed look. I thought the card could use just a hint more of an embellishment, so I'm using one of these neutral colored enamel dots from My Mind's Eye. Enamel dots have a more masculine feel than using a rhinestone or gemstone because the finish is nice and flat. So this completes our second card where we used a pre-die cut photo frame. In the third and final card for this class, I'm going to show you how you can create your own die cut frames using a silhouette. I'll also be showing you how to incorporate real photographs into your card making. This is an Instagram photo that I had printed out. It's a picture that I took during my sister's wedding. And I wanted to select some coordinating paper, so I'm looking in this 6x6 pad from Crate Paper, and it's their new 14 collection. And I just wanted to scroll through until I found something that mimicked the colors found in the flowers, and this one actually looks perfect. So I'm just looking for a secondary piece of paper, and as you can see, this pattern paper, even though it is a Valentine collection, it has quite a variety of different prints. And I think this neutral looks really well with the photo as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those 2 pieces of pattern paper. But just to show you quickly what else is in this pad, I wanted to flip through and show you the rest of the prints. It's really easy to create a Polaroid frame using the Silhouette software. I just need to begin by measuring my photo to see what size of frame I need to create. And it looks like my photo is about 3¼ inches square. So to begin, just go ahead and open up your Silhouette software. You're going to want to select the Draw a Rectangle tool from the left sidebar, and then just roughly go ahead and draw the center of the Polaroid frame that you're wanting to create. I'm going to go ahead and select the scale option at the top and then change my dimensions to be exactly 3¼ inches. You can go ahead and click apply, and then we're going to go back to that rectangle shape button and we're going to draw the outside of the Polaroid image. Once I have things looking appropriate in my eye, I'm just going to, using the Shift key, select both the inside and the outside rectangle. Then I'm going to go up to the Object tab, Align, and Align Center. And that's just going to make me know for certain that the inside of my frame is centered with the outside of my frame. Now this is where it's very important. Make sure that you go back up to Object and click Make Compound Path. I'm now selecting the Type tool, and I'm selecting a script font that I have loaded onto my computer. This script font is called Billabong, and I'm just going to go ahead and type out the word love. Now I'm just going to drag that inside to my frame and then resize it until it's the dimensions that I'm happy with. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see that right now the word is not welded together. To do that, you need to ungroup the word so that you can move each individual letter separately. And I need to move each letter so that a little bit of each letter overlaps the next letter. After all my letters are in place, I can select the entire word once again and then click Weld at the bottom of the screen. This will fuse all of the letters together to create one cut. It's also important to remember that you need to overlap your word into the frame just a little bit so that it will, after welding, become one with the frame. So I'm just selecting everything and then welding as I mentioned earlier, and now you can see that we've created the die cut that we were intending to create. So now you can just go ahead and go up to the cut section and then tell it to cut your file. I'm just going to move my image over because I know I'm using a 6x6 piece of paper, so I need to move that into a cuttable area. So this is the finished die cut, which was cut from the lace paper that I showed you earlier, and as you can see, it fits just perfectly over the Instagram photo. If you don't own a silhouette and would like to create a similar frame, you can always hand cut a frame. The squares and rectangles are easy to do, and then just add some letter stickers to the inside of the frame to create a similar feel. I've taken the pattern paper that I showed you earlier and just cut and then machine stitched around the edge to give it a little bit of a homespun feel and give it a little bit of decoration. So now I am just adhering the photo frame directly onto that pattern paper, and I'm going to apply it at a little bit of an angle to give it some visual interest. This is some natural and gold twine that I thought looked really nice with the colors, so I'm just going to wrap that around my card and then tie that into a bow. This card would be great for Valentine's Day, but of course it could also be used for an anniversary or a wedding or just some other occasion where you just want to tell somebody that you love them. To finish off this card, I'm adhering this card front onto a craft card base. This completes this month's Trendy Trios class. I hope you've enjoyed taking a peek at some of the trendy products that are out in the scrapbooking market right now. To find all of these products, please visit www.twopeasinabucket.com.